and we're going to take a little bit of flexibility on this diaper rule for the time being until we can give some supply. What you think about that right now, Big Boss?
Well, I'm glad you lifted the rule, man. I'm glad you lifted that, because there's a lot of people complaining, and they say they had to do this and change their bike, and they don't go this fast, and so it was too much gossip about it. You had to do what you had to do until they can create some kind of diaper later on. Them people they gonna figure out some kind of diaper that them people ain't gotta tear their bike up, man. But right now, the diaper rule, it's just like it used to be. Whoever had one on there, you just still run it. If you ain't got now, you all right. It's just that if it all down come down, they know that might push it back a little bit, so somebody might not get to make their passes, or they might not get to finish. If they don't, then everybody just got to split the money that's in the purse. Understanding is the best thing, cause they were crying about you tell them they got to have a diaper, so now they ain't got to have that diaper. But if the all down come down and they can't finish the race, they got to split the monies in the pot. Because there ain't no racing till Monday. They ain't doing no Monday. I know you ain't doing no Monday racing.
No, we can't do no Monday. And plus, some of these tracks going to have some curfews as well. But look here, we're going to be going back to having the MTC Spring Fling going to be kicking off now. Don't forget, April 14th through the 16th, South Georgia Motorsport Park is going down. And don't forget, y'all who got them pretty motorcycles now, we're going to have a bike show. Y'all need to go online to the Man Cup website, hit our link. It'll take you directly to where you can reserve your ticket, pre-register, and so forth. Get teed up for the motorcycle event. Let's go ahead and buy them tech cards, get those tech cards filled out. Now, I know that there's a lot of information on the tech card that does not pertain specifically to motorcycles. However, just put the NA in those columns, in those categories, keep it going, fill out the things that are relevant to motorcycles, and you get that tech card all filled out, get your registration done. You only got to do that one time this year, and moving forward, all you have to do is go in there and buy your event tickets. Tech card would already be ready. But look, we're going to go pay a few bills, and we're going to bring y'all back with the man himself, Mr. Paul Gast.
The legend.
Jump into the action. Watch Hollywood Drag Racing Live TV now.
All right, back here we got my man. Look who we got in the house, Mr. Paul Gast himself. Fast by Gas.
Yes.
What's going on, Mr. Paul? How you doing over there in New York?
Hey, everything's good up here in New York. We got some snow and ice, and that's just the way it is. But I can guarantee you the Fast by Gas team in its glory will be down there at Valdosta for the first race. And we're really looking forward to it. In particular, we're looking forward to the new Man Cup. We all love the old Man Cup stuff, but anytime there's some change, we're always hoping it's for the better. And growth is always a good thing. And we just can't wait, Broderick, for what you're going to do, your group's going to do. And we just hope that all the racers support this. I just feel, I got a good feeling is what I'm trying to say to you. I think it's going to be good. And we look forward to seeing you down there. Fast by Gas will be there.
All right. Well, look, everybody wants to know a lot about, like, who is Mr. Paul Gast? I mean, where did this all start for you? I mean, you've been in this game for as long as I can ever remember, so I don't know the beginning of the story. So why don't you enlighten us on a little bit about where the whole Fast by Gas, and how did you get into motorcycle drag racing? How about that?
There you go. Well, it's a good one. My brother, John, he used to run gas coupes, and he's about 4 or 5 years older than me. He ran gas coupes, and I was the little kid with a T-shirt on hanging down that hung out in the pits and ran for the sodas and stuff. So when I was 15, I bought myself a Honda, and I said, I think I'm going to try this out at our local Niagara Dragway right here where I live. And I went out and did it, and just by some fate, I was kind of good at it, I guess. And then I, being a kind of mechanical guy hanging around with my brother and such, I decided it was time to start working on the engines. So I went out and bought me one of those H1 triples when they first come out in '69, and started modifying it. And sure enough, my friend, because I did well with it, wanted the same thing, so I did it. Then all of a sudden, his friend wanted it, so I get sport and everything, so I did it for him. And then all of a sudden, I got sick of doing this stuff for nothing because I'm sitting here grinding cylinders and doing all this work. I said, gee whiz, maybe we could do a little business out of this. So in 1973, I opened Fast by Gas pretty much part-time. I used to do TV antennas back in those days. And then I would come in and work way, way into the wee hours of the morning every single day and weekends doing the Fast by Gas stuff. And it grew fairly quickly, I must say. And then we progressed on and actually had to get an employee at one point. My wife Dana came in and helped, and we just started growing. And then I obviously started getting into faster bikes. I got into the H2 triples, the 750s, and Dave Schultz was a huge part of the growth of Fast by Gas because he had such success, and we worked so hard on that program that it just turned into a really good thing. And then we evolved.
And those are two-stroke motorcycles, correct?
Those were my company was two strokes for probably the first 7 or 8 years. That's all we did.
Wow.
You never see so many of them. Yeah, they were very, very reasonably priced. And the work we did, think about it, was in the 70s. The work we did was very low cost. It was part of my advertisements back in the days when we were doing things like that. How cheap it was to run one of those things. And they still are for the guys that run those. But then we evolved in more and more and more. And I got into this Pro Mod thing with Ashley Owens. And here we are. It's all good stuff. And Fast by Gas started in '73. And so I guess we can say we've been, gee whiz, is that 50 years?
It's close because I'll be 53 and I was born in 1970. So yeah, you're right. 50 years, man, a half a century. Isn't that right?
It's 50 years. I never even thought of that. Yep. 50 years I've been doing this. Yep. But I started racing when I was 15 years old in 1964. That's when I went out with that Honda. Didn't even have a driver's license yet. And then just played around with things. And then the business actually started proper in 1973. And so 50 years of Fast by Gas. Wow. That's interesting.
So
yeah,
what's one of your more prized positions on the H3s, correct?
H2, 750.
H2. What was like the time? What was like the record times for a motorcycle like that?
Well, our bike went 850 at 151 miles an hour. This all on motor, and this is in 1980. So long time ago. 43 years ago, and he was the deal on that blue triple. That bike's in the museum now. And oh yeah, and so there are times where I used to go 860s on my own. So they were well into the 8s, and all my customers were in the 8s. And it was some time frame. The bikes were fairly easy to build back then, a little bit cheaper, even relative to the time frame. Everything was just seemed to be a little cheaper, just like everybody feels now. So we all got to gather and get to these national events that you're putting on. The cost of travel is an issue. Everybody knows it. You know it.
Right.
I certainly. And I think one of the best things people can do now is team up a little bit. Throw a couple teams in the trailer and split it up. It'll start getting a lot cheaper when they do that. And I think some people are doing that already, but the more the merrier. Let's get everybody out to the race, because when everybody shows up, you know what I tell everybody? Every race can be Valdosta finals. All you got to do is show up. If everybody
hold
that goes,
that thought. You hold that thought right there, because I want you to expound on that situation. We're going to go pay a few bills, and we're going to be right back with Mr. Gast. We got good questions for you when you come back.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Paul. Well, I want to bring this back to you because one of the things that kind of we had to make an announcement about the oil retention devices and so forth. And one of the things that really stuck in my head was cost. Everything is costing so much, supply chain issues across the board. You know, we don't want to make it hard for racers any harder than it already is. Obviously, we want to make it as safe as environment as we possibly can. We were shooting to try to get, you know, devices on every bike that we had to go down the racetrack, but we had to pivot on that. I mean, sometimes you have to pivot, take a step back, and here's my step back in an effort that we can take 2 steps forward. What's your take on, you know, the adjustment that had to be made? You know, obviously.
Well, first of all, I definitely support oil retention, diapers, whatever you want to call them. I think it's a smart move. Anything we can do to keep the event rolling. When you are sitting in the pits watching them clean up the track, I mean, you're really lucky if the track gets back to where it was. Generally, they're pretty good at it, but it takes time. Now all of a sudden we're racing into the evening. Heaven forbid we'd be able to go out and have a dinner and things like that, you know, and socialize. We're racing too late, I think, because of these kind of things. I think the oil retention is a smart thing. I think kicking back a little bit, mostly on like street bikes and such, are good. I'm a little nervous about the fast street bikes when they got those oil pans that stick way down on the bottom. If they could run flat pans, that'd be just a nice touch. Whether it's required or not, I don't know. But I think another tip for everybody when they're bleeding into this type of new rule, I think when you have a problem with your bike at all going down the track, get to the wall. The sooner you get to the wall, because we never race over at the wall. And if you get over near the wall, coast down the end of the track, if your bike broke or something, you're going to keep any kind of oil. If you got a retention device, I think they catch a lot of it. Depending on the blow up, it might not catch all of it. So no matter what, device or not, get over to that wall. As soon as you, sometimes it's hard to think of going down when you're on the bike, going down the track. But if you get over the wall, and I see some guys do it now, and I'm always so happy for them. Sometimes I'll even go over and thank them for doing such. You're gonna save time, and we can get this event done. And you know, sometimes you got weather windows coming in that you got to be done at 6 o'clock because it's going to rain at 7 o'clock, and all of a sudden the oil down. So I support your thought plan on the oil down. I also support you coming back to where we just can't be throwing people out of the race. As far as the diaper supply goes, no advertisement intended, but we're going to make sure we got tons of them with us. And we have them at Fast by Gas now. We do the Vanson unit. It's very nice. I think reasonably priced for sure. And if someone absolutely has to have one, we'll be able to help them out. I'm sure others have them as well. And that's what I think about that whole thing.
Cool. So right now you are still the pro mod. Well, first of all, I want to tell you thank you for your support from Fast by Gas because you are the class sponsor for the Pro Modified class this year, and you're also the Pro Modified record holder. You know this guy's gonna be coming for that record this year. Where is that record stand right now, time wise?
The Man Cup record is 394 and 181, and I'm very, very proud of it because I work real hard times 10 to achieve such. And I am also very proud to be the sponsor of the class. I'm going to try and do some little things along throughout the year to help Pro Mod. And I'm always there to help the racers. I know they know it too. Most of them are all my friends and everything. And I know they're coming out after both the red bike and that record. I already know that, and I'd be disappointed if they weren't coming out for it. So yeah, and I'll be working hard to maintain it and keep it. I mean, that's the way. Anybody, when they beat me, they want to beat me at my best. You know, I'm not laying down for nothing. When they beat me, they are going to beat the best effort I got, and believe me, I get beat. So I'm really looking forward to some guys coming out in Pro Mod. With all this activity in 460, boy, it'd just be nice to have a couple guys throughout the season come on up and give it a go, give it a try. Some people think it's just crazy money. Frankly, it's not cheap, but you can come out and have some fun. And even if you had a bike that ran in the teens, you can come out and have some fun. And guess what? You just never know out there. You got to run the race. You guy could smoke the tire, guy could miss a shift, guy could break something. I mean, these things happen. I just look forward to Pro Mod this year. Frankly, I look forward to everything, but I am very pleased and proud to be the sponsor of the class.
What's your personal Pro Mod goal? Do you have a number in your mind that you really want to set on fire right now?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be 74 in 2 months, so I mean, my days are limited as to how long. I mean, I'm blessed with good health, so right now I feel really good. But I mean, somewhere along the line will be the end for me. So my goal is 89. 93 is my best. I hold the record in PDRA at a 93. And is 89 obtainable? Yeah, just though. I mean, it's, you would have to have the conditions, the track, maybe a little breeze behind. If an 89 could pop up, it would have been up by now, because we've been going these kind of times now for about 4 or 5 years. So I think it's going to take some new little innovation or some new little thing. And boy, what I'd love to see. Frankly, I'd like to see, if I don't do it, I'd like to see something like that get done by anybody, because it would be a neat thing to see. I'd have to try and figure out how and why they did it. And that's just all part of the wide open class racing. So hopefully we'll get a couple guys from 460 to bump up. Heaven knows that class is strong enough. So let's just see how that all rolls out. But I'll be there supporting. Nobody, I must say, nobody that buys parts from Fast by Gas has ever missed a race because their parts were sitting on our shelf at Fast by Gas. 0 times history of my company has that ever happened. Never. They don't miss races because we work like dogs to get this stuff done.
Now, that's one thing I can say about when we have that last minute rush to get some parts. They say, call Paul, he got it. And it's usually in the mail or at your door the next couple of days. And now I give credit for that. Now, 100% you've been reliable. Even when the people who make the stuff don't even have it, they call you and you have it. I mean, you're pretty much the godfather motorcycle.
It's nice to hear things like that. We try really hard. I got to say that everybody at Fast by Gas tries hard. If they're working on product, they want it to be the best they can make. They're always interested in knowing, hey, how this one work out? How's that guy running? And when it goes out the door, we try our very best to make it as good as it can be.
Well, we're going to take one more break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask you one more question about these carburetors, these Fast by Gas electrons, and how that deal started. All right,
absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Look forward to it.
If you're a fan of racing, then you'll love the Man Cup Motorcycle Drag Racing Series. These guys are going full speed ahead at 150 plus miles per hour on 2 wheels, and it's absolutely amazing to watch. If you're ever looking for an adrenaline rush, then you don't want to miss this. The first race starts April 14th through the 16th in Adel, Georgia at the South Georgia Motorsports Park. Get your tickets now at racemancup.com. See you there.
All right, back here again one more time with Mr. Fast by Gas himself, Paul Gast. Look here. So the next thing I noticed, that when I really noticed the Fast by Gas brand, it was always to me associated with the Electron carburetors. It was Fast by Gas electrons. Is that an original deal that you developed, or how did that all come together there?
Great story there. Well, a fellow that used to work for GM and all these things in Detroit, his name was Norm Quantz, no longer with us, but he was an inventor, and he developed this carburetor, the Electron brand carburetor. He developed it. I'm the one who developed it for drag racing. So when we went, the very first time I put him on my bike, we went down the track and we looked at the time card. We almost thought something was wrong. And this is with 0 tuning, just slap it on there. Oh, yeah. And I said, oh, boy, what do we got here? And then we did some refining. I mean, they idled at $5,000 and everything. We had this was a brand new thing. So I refined it, and all of a sudden went out and started not only just winning races with it, but setting records. And these things were so easy to tune, and they remain to be so, that they were very, very hot. I used to go to the Cincinnati trade shows and such, And my goodness, we'd sell 30, 40 sets at the shows. And they were, people didn't have them. So this was a big thing. And they were very low cost back in the day. There's certainly more now. What isn't? But they're easy for tuning, and they go fast as hell. They're still on my red ProMod bike. I still run carburetors, and I just think they're the cat's meow right there. I like them a lot. This was in 1978, by the way, and we supported that program through contingencies and things until we just couldn't anymore. I mean, it was every single class at every single event, including NHRA, was winner, runner up, and semis had the electron carburetors on it. Every class that you could run a carburetor, they were on. Pro Stock NHRA was 20 years they were on there. And oh, by the way, then George Bryce got on this early. He's not going to let anything sit. And he says, "Hey, Paul, we're pals." And he says, "I think I need to be trying a set of those." And I said, "I think you do too." And he did. And him and John Myers went out, and I guess everybody knows that story, how good they did. And yep, they about put me broke because they won every damn race just about. Then Dave Schultz. Yeah, Dave Schultz got on it. And George, I remember George and Johnny Myers saying to me when I'm walking by him in the pits, they said, "Man, you sold out for a couple $100." What do you mean sold out? What are you talking about? He sold carbs to Dave Schultz. I says, "Hey, he's a friend of mine too." And and because of those high profile racers using them with ridiculous success, they developed even more. And others said, "Hey, gotta have it." They've been a good thing. I still sell them, and they've been refined. Kevin Gillum, that used to work at Fast by Gas, is now the owner of Lexington. He's revised them considerably, and they're beautiful pieces right now, and they still work, if not better. They're really good, and we still sell them. Well, certainly we sell less because everybody has fuel injection on their bike, doesn't need a carburetor.
And that was my next question. How does that impact the carburetor business? That was my next next question. How does the fuel injection situation impact the actual carburetor situation?
Well, it's easy because anybody that has fuel injection doesn't need them. I know when I had a Hayabusa in the mid O's, 06, 07 range, maybe into 08, when I had a Hayabusa, the first thing I did is put carburetors on it, and it ran perfect. Matter of fact, it was very, very fast in its time. Chad Otts, who we all know, he rode the bike. Rick Bunting, Dr. Rick, he rode the bike.
Dr. Rick.
They both went real fast on this thing back in the day, way into the sevens, and it was a good thing. So you can make them work on anything. Do you know that I had a single electron carburetor on my Chevy V8, my truck?
Wow.
Yeah, I had a van, not a truck. It was a van. I took the carburetor off, and I made an aluminum plate, and I stuck an electron carburetor on there. Thing ran perfect. One carburetor.
Did you have it flat, or did you have it turned up like the motor?
No, I had to make it a downdraft. So I had to put it sideways, and we put the float pole remote over on the side. It sounds like a big deal, but it was only one carburetor. A quick kind of funny story for that. George Bryce, big Electron fan in the day, he said, "Okay, I got a Pro Stock car. I want to put electrons on it." I said, "Bingo. So do I. You can get rid of that hood scoop, that big air catcher up on the top. You don't need that no more because you don't have to run that tunnel ram stuff. Just put one carburetor on each port." He put the requisition in NHRA, and they said, "Don't think so." They banned it right away. They wouldn't even let him pursue it at all. And he said it because Holly had the lock on all the carburetor stuff. I said, "Tell them that we want to change who's got the lock. Maybe we want the lock. What's that take?" Well, obviously, Holly was a big deal, and they went out on that one. But it would have been fun to try it. We did put electron carbs on other drag race vehicles. A couple dragsters had them on there. Oh yeah, and they work perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Wow.
And a couple little gas cars, coupes and stuff had them on there. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's
so
a
now
heck of a story. I never knew that. I never knew any of that stuff right there, man. That's a heck of a story, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
I always thought it
still,
was just all motorcycle stuff.
no. Oh, no, I put them on. They have them on airplanes. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
There was an airplane
Yeah.
version of this fella Norm devised back in the day. They're not affected so much by altitude and the
Uh-huh.
atmospheric conditions. Yeah. Very little changes to go from Denver down to Englishtown. Very, very little changes. Minute. And anyways, so they had them on airplanes. Yep.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, it's been a ball having a good little chat with you and getting the people to get to know you personally a little bit about your history. And like you said, man, all we have to do is show up to these races and we'll have a world finals every event. There's plenty of
Exactly
us to
what I
show up.
tell people. Yep.
And so I
Exactly what.
got one more question for you though before
Sure.
we leave. Eighth mile versus quarter mile. I heard you had stories about that.
Well, I, let
We're
me
not
just
going
say
to
this.
change anything right now. I just want to hear your opinion about
when
it.
when it first switched to eighth mile, it was all because of the ADRL, and they were getting 35 Pro Mod bikes. Everybody loved the eighth mile. They all wanted to go ADRL racing. Okay, and there was other reasons involved, but the eighth mile kept the racing closer and it kept it for sure safer and for sure less oil downs. These nitrous bikes in the quarter mile are a little bit tough. Some guys have done it, and maybe a couple still continue to do it. My bike would be so fast in the quarter mile that I mean, I'd have to have someone else ride it. I'd have no interest in those kind of speeds with a tire that's 1 inch wide on the front. It would have to be completely revised bike. Um, you can even see like what Billy Vos went through when he exploded the rear wheel and tire on his Dan Wagner's group. They did a few of them. I told Mickey Thompson, what's going on with these tires? And this, what can be done and everything. He says, well, how fast are they going? I said, well, they're going 230. He says, well, who the hell would go 230 on that kind of a tire? I says, what do you mean? He says, they're not designed for that. I says, oh boy. He says, Paul, they're putting so much glue down on the track now that it'll tear those tires apart. The NHRA, they're tearing them apart. That's why a few years ago you heard NHRA change to a different glue policy, considerably less glue. And I guess the tire tearing up diminished considerably over there after they changed track prep. I don't know what that means with the Man Cup. I don't know all those things, but I do know
Right.
that extra glue is very difficult on the tires. And I'm not running a quarter mile with that thing. I'm not necessarily afraid of anything, but maybe it's fast. My bike would
Yeah.
go. My bike would go for sure 620s. That 20, probably 620 by now, and I've gone in the 640s, chopping it and just past the eighth mile, just coasting across. So
Wow.
yeah, no, and I'd be going probably call it two. Usually you pick up 30 in the back, so 80, 90, at least 210, and
Right.
I mean, not a turbo. Turbos have more power, but that's, I think, probably too fast for a 1 inch wide front tire. Of course, like you see things like Larry McBride, they put bigger wheels, bigger brakes, bigger tires. It seems to make a lot of sense. Now, I don't vote for the quarter mile for Pro Mod. Other classes, it's fine.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Paul Gast, the legend himself. And I look forward to seeing you down in Valdosta. Big Boss, you want to give us your story about when you and Paul used to race back in the days before we get out of here? Because we want to
Oh
get out of
man,
here and pay some more bills. You still there? Yeah, there
yeah,
you
I'm still
go.
here, man. Yeah, Mr. Paul, we chopped it up a little bit when we were talking about it earlier. You remember back in Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, when the man came out, that's why I first met the man there personally down there.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah, he
remember when
come
you first dropped those 390s on us, boy. You about made us park all those pro mods for a little while.
he made it all. He made us go 460.
No,
Yeah.
don't say that. Don't say that. Come on.
We're going to
Yeah,
build
man.
that class back up a little bit, though. We got to work on the pro mod because I actually love pro mod myself. Like you said, we just got to figure out the nutrition rate and make it efficient so that the people that can actually get there and have a chance of feeling like they can
Yeah.
compete. That's the bottom line,
I
period.
believe all the
Well,
460 guys like Pro Mod a lot. And
exactly.
I hope a couple
So
of them
once
try.
again, Once again, we really appreciate your time. Love having you on here. I got a lot of insight. Hope the fans at Man Cup got a lot of information from Mr. Gast himself. Like I said, we'll be down at the MTC Engineering Nationals Spring Fling, April 14th through the 16th. We have a bike show where we'll name the bike of the show, the best bike of the event, which will be in the running for $10,000 for the bike of the year that will be judged at the World Finals in November. So be sure to come on down, support us, check us out, you street bike guys. Get a big woosah right now. We want you there. We want you racing, having fun. Tell your friends.